Hi and welcome to Lineup Lab. Today we will be talking about a new platform we've created called Player Lab. And the idea behind Player Lab is to help you find the players who are in a position to have the biggest games possible, the most dominating players of the day. And the idea behind how daily fantasy players do this today, and this is just fundamentals, is we look for anything that gives a player an edge, a statistical advantage over the rest. And the more of these criteria that a player meets, the more we can stack on top of one another, the better chances that player has of having a huge day. The problem with this is that it's very time consuming. There are tons of websites out there with a lot of data and information, but it's just such a grind. You have to spend hours a day to pull this data in and really understand if players are actually meeting these criteria or not. And if you don't have several hours a day to devote to it, it's very hard to stay competitive. So this is what inspired us to create Player Lab. And let's take a look at how Player Lab is laid out. So here at the top we have our filters, and at the bottom we have our player data. Each filter can be toggled on or off, and as we do that, you'll see that players are highlighted here at the bottom and a number is displayed. And as I select more filters, fewer and fewer players are found or matched. And this makes sense. The more filters I select, the fewer players that meet all those criteria, but the more interesting those players become to me. So if I have a group of players that meets, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 criteria in a given day, those players are extremely interesting to me. If you want to read about each filter, you can hover over it and see a little tooltip, and it's just a brief description. We have things like high Vegas totals, game spreads. We have defense versus position data, which is really nice. We have the number of days rest for a player, how tired the defense is that he's going up against, minutes per game, and several others. We'll be adding filters over time. We have some in the works right now. And each filter is fully configurable, so click on the little gear icon and you can set that filter up here. If you'd like to read more about the filter, you can click on the More Info link and read some of the theory behind that filter. So I'm going to leave that at 200. And before we run through an example, let's look at what's available here in the player table. So the table has a lot of information you should be familiar with. Some of it is pretty self-explanatory, but anything that's confusing, we have a tooltip you can hover over that will describe it in more detail. And if you'd like, you can click on your Show Hide Columns button and select from other fields that are available. So you can see we have multiple time frames for certain data columns, like minutes per game. And now I have my 5-day and 10-day averages, as well as my year-to-date for minutes per game. So once you have your columns set up the way you like them and you have a few filters configured, you can start to turn some of them on and find some interesting players that meet your criteria. And once you have a group of players that you're interested in, you can then download these as a CSV, and you can download just the match players if you'd like, and that will be organized by position. So you have your point guards, shooting guards, and all of the data that comes with it. Alternatively, you can just download all of the data if you'd like. And then finally, you can send these players to the optimizer by clicking on the button here at the bottom. Give it a second and it will load those players into your selected players table, and from here you can lock a player that you might be really interested in, and of course you can fill out the positions with other players, or just add all and go ahead and calculate and use the optimizer as you would normally. So that is all for now. I hope Player Lab is interesting to you. Let us know what you think, and I'm sure if you have filter ideas, please send them in. We have 7 that are in the works right now. 2 of them I'm very excited about, but we will reprioritize those based on some of the feedback. So that's all for now, and good luck.